The way you start your day determines how you live it. Every morning is a blank canvas, an unpainted page waiting for your direction, your discipline, your decision. Jim Rohn often said, either you run the day, or the day runs you. That simple truth carries the essence of this first principle, the power of the morning. It's not just about getting up early, it's about waking up with purpose. Because success doesn't begin when you sit at your desk or walk into the office. It begins the moment your eyes open. The first hour is sacred. It's when your mind is most impressionable, your energy most pure, your spirit most open to influence. If you fill that hour with noise, distractions, and mindless scrolling, you've already lost control of your direction. But if you claim it, if you spend it shaping your mindset, feeding your spirit, and directing your thoughts, you create momentum that carries through the entire day. The difference between a drifting day and a driven one often lies in how the first 60 minutes are spent. Most people start their day reacting to emails, to notifications, to demands. But a successful person starts the day creating, designing the atmosphere of thought that will define their actions. The mind is like a garden, and the morning is the hour of planting. If you sow seeds of gratitude, focus, and determination early, you harvest productivity, confidence, and peace later. But if you sow chaos, you'll reap confusion. I believe every person should have what I call a morning meeting with themselves. It doesn't have to be long or complicated, just intentional. 10 minutes of quiet reflection, 5 minutes of reading something nourishing, a few moments of gratitude, and perhaps a brief visualization of what you want to accomplish. These small disciplines don't take much time, but they give you power. They shift your day from automatic to deliberate. Psychologically, the first hour acts as a priming mechanism. What you focus on early in the day influences your mood, your decision-making, and your perception of challenges. When you wake up and immediately face problems, your brain moves into a defensive state. It starts reacting. But when you begin with reflection, with thought, with focus, you activate your creative and reasoning mind. You become proactive, not reactive. That single shift from reaction to creation can redefine your entire life. Jim Rohn once told a story about how he started journaling in the mornings. He said, I realized that if I could spend just 15 minutes a day thinking about what I wanted, I could save myself years of wandering. The morning hour gives you clarity, and clarity saves you time, energy, and mistakes. You can't make good decisions in the fog of confusion, and most confusion comes from not giving yourself time to think. Think of your morning as a quiet negotiation with destiny. You sit down and say, here's who I am, here's what I'm becoming, and here's how today will contribute to that. You may not control every event, but you control your approach. And approach is everything. Philosophically, the morning represents the rebirth of opportunity. Each sunrise is a reminder that life renews itself. No matter what happened yesterday, today begins fresh. The world offers you a new invitation to try again, to adjust, to improve, but only if you accept it consciously. Too many people wake up, but never really wake up. They move through the motions, but their mind is still asleep, lost in yesterday's worries or tomorrow's fears. Success belongs to those who wake up not only physically, but mentally. Awake to possibility, awake to gratitude, awake to choice. Let's talk about habits. Because it's not one great morning that changes your life. It's consistent mornings. Discipline builds rhythm, and rhythm builds results. The person who spends 1 hour each morning intentionally will eventually outperform the person who spends all day reacting. Why? Because the first person is operating from design, not default. They don't wait for motivation. They create it. And here's something to remember: success is not loud. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks. It's quiet. It happens in the stillness of early mornings, in the silence of self-conversation, in the calm before the world stirs. Those who learn to use that quiet time build strength others never see. They prepare their minds the way athletes prepare their bodies, through daily, deliberate practice. There's also a spiritual dimension to owning your morning. When you spend time alone, disconnected from the noise, you connect to something larger than yourself. Call it God, nature, intuition, or simply awareness. That connection anchors you. It reminds you that success is not just about achieving, but about aligning your actions with your values, your desires with your purpose. In practical terms, you can begin with small changes. Wake up 30 minutes earlier than usual. Avoid touching your phone for the first half hour. Sit with a notebook. Write 3 things you're grateful for, 3 priorities for the day, and 1 affirmation of who you are becoming. Read a page from something wise. Think about the kind of person you want to be at the end of the day. These little acts are not chores. They're investments. When you start your day with purpose, you walk differently. You speak differently. You make decisions from strength instead of stress. And the world feels different because you've set your inner compass before stepping into the storm. So if you wish to change your life, don't start with your schedule. Start with your sunrise. Guard the first hour. Treat it as sacred. Because how you spend your morning is how you spend your life. And remember, this success is not something you chase all day long. It's something you invite every morning by who you decide to become before the day even begins. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. It strengthens, stretches, and refines your thinking. Every great leader, philosopher, and builder of success has shared this one common discipline, the daily habit of feeding the mind. Jim Rohn said it best: miss a meal if you have to, but don't miss a book. Because while food nourishes your body for a few hours, ideas nourish your life for years. We live in a time where information is everywhere, yet wisdom is rare. The reason: most people consume information passively. They scroll, they skim, they watch, but they rarely study. Success is not about how much you read, but how deeply you read. The goal isn't to impress others with the number of books you finish, but to impress truth upon your own mind until it shapes your perspective and your behavior. Reading daily is an act of self-leadership. It's how you remind your mind who's in charge. When you read, you expose yourself to new patterns of thought. Every page becomes a conversation with a mind you might never meet in person. Imagine having breakfast with Aristotle, lunch with Emerson, and dinner with Jim Rohn himself. That's the power of books. They collapse time. They let you borrow decades of experience in a few hours. You don't need to make every mistake yourself if you're willing to learn from the mistakes of others who wrote them down. But reading must be intentional. Many people read for entertainment. Few read for transformation. The difference lies in how you approach it. Don't just let the words pass through your eyes. Let them pass through your judgment. Stop and think. Ask, how does this apply to my life? What idea here can I put into practice today? Because knowledge in use soon fades into forgetfulness. The goal is not accumulation, it's application. Jim Rohn often said, education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune, and self-education happens one page at a time. Formal schooling teaches you what society needs you to know. Reading teaches you what you need to know to grow, to adapt, and to excel. Each book becomes a mentor, whispering the principles of success, discipline, and character that the world often forgets to teach. There's something almost sacred about setting aside time each day to read. It's a quiet act of respect for your own future. In a world filled with distraction, that quiet time builds focus. In a culture obsessed with opinions, reading develops independent thought. It teaches you to pause, to consider, to reason. Skills that separate the thoughtful from the impulsive. Reading every day is how you keep your mind strong, your words sharp, and your ideas alive. Philosophically, reading connects you to the lineage of wisdom. Every generation passes the torch of knowledge through books. When you read, you're not just learning facts. You're entering into a dialogue with humanity itself. You begin to see patterns, the same truths echoed across centuries. Discipline, gratitude, patience, courage, love. You realize success isn't new. It's rediscovered by each generation through attention and effort. But the key is to read what matters. Not every book deserves your time. Choose works that build your character, expand your vision, and deepen your understanding of life and human nature. A few pages of great philosophy are worth more than 100 pages of gossip. A single idea applied with faith can outlast 1,000 facts memorized without meaning. Don't just read what's popular. Read what's powerful. Seek books that challenge you, that make you question your limits, that hold a mirror to your habits. Practically speaking, even 15 minutes a day can change your trajectory. Read during your morning routine, while commuting, or before bed. Carry a book with you the way others carry their phones. Replace a few minutes of passive entertainment with active learning. That simple trade, time for truth, can compound into extraordinary growth over the years. Because the more you read, the more you see. The more you see, the better you decide. And the better you decide, the more successful you become. Jim Rohn used to remind his audiences, the book you don't read won't help. It's a humorous line, but it carries a profound message. Opportunities often hide inside ideas, and ideas hide inside books. A single paragraph could hold the spark that changes your financial future, your relationships, or your philosophy on living. But you have to show up for it daily, like watering a seed until it grows. And don't limit yourself to one subject. Read broadly: philosophy for perspective, psychology for understanding, business for practicality, biography for inspiration. Let every book add a piece to your worldview. You'll start noticing connections between fields. The same principles that make a garden flourish also make a business thrive. Reading teaches you how the world works by teaching you how to think. As your reading habit deepens, something powerful happens. You begin to speak differently. You articulate with confidence, reason with clarity, and persuade with integrity. Words become tools, and knowledge becomes your foundation. People will sense that your ideas carry weight because they're built on more than opinion. They're built on principle. That's what separates those who merely talk from those who teach. And in the end, the purpose of reading is not to escape life, but to engage it more intelligently. It's not to impress others with what you know, but to improve yourself with what you understand. Reading daily is how you keep your inner fire burning when the world grows cold. It's how you stay curious when others grow complacent. It's how you continue evolving long after formal education ends. So take Jim Rohn's advice to heart. Miss a meal if you have to, but don't miss your reading. Because the books you read today become the thoughts you think tomorrow, and the thoughts you think tomorrow become the life you live forever. Goals are the blueprint of your future. They turn dreams into structure, and structure into action. Without goals, life drifts. With goals, it directs. Jim Rohn once said, if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into someone else's plan, and guess what they have planned for you? Not much. That single insight captures the essence of personal responsibility. Your future isn't written by chance. It's crafted by choice. Specifically, the choices you make daily about what you pursue and why. The discipline of goals isn't just about writing lists or setting resolutions. It's about the inner architecture of your destiny. Every goal is a declaration. This is who I intend to become. When you write your goals each day, you're not just making plans. You're shaping identity. You're reminding your mind, this is my path. That repetition builds alignment, and alignment builds power. Because success is never accidental. It's the outcome of consistent focus on a clearly defined direction. Philosophically, goals give meaning to effort. They turn routine into ritual and work into worship. Without a goal, discipline feels like punishment. But with a goal, discipline feels like purpose. Think about it. Running 5 miles without a reason feels like drudgery. But if you're training for a marathon, every step carries meaning. The same principle applies to every area of life. When you attach your daily actions to a compelling goal, ordinary moments transform into extraordinary progress. Jim Rohn used to advise people to start with the end in mind and work backward. That's how clarity is born. If you know where you're going, every decision becomes easier. Goals simplify life because they filter distractions. When you know your destination, you stop wasting energy on detours. You begin to live intentionally, not incidentally. But goal setting must be more than mechanical. It must be emotional. A goal without emotion is like a car without fuel. You may have direction, but you won't have drive. So when you write your goals each day, don't just record them. Feel them. Visualize them as if they're already achieved. See yourself living that new reality. Feel the confidence, the peace, the satisfaction. The mind doesn't distinguish between vividly imagined experience and physical reality. It begins working toward what it believes. That's the psychological magic of daily goal setting. It programs the subconscious to act in alignment with your desired future. Most people set goals once a year, usually around January, and forget them by February. But the successful revisit their goals daily. They rewrite them, reimagine them, re-energize them. Why? Because repetition creates belief. The more you repeat something, the more your brain accepts it as true. That's why it's essential to not just set goals, but to live them, to breathe them into your daily awareness until they become part of your identity. Let's talk about the different kinds of goals. Jim Rohn often divided them into categories: personal, financial, family, spiritual, physical, and contribution goals. Each category represents a dimension of life, and true success requires balance among them. What's the use of wealth without health, or achievement without peace? Goals are not just about accumulating, they're about becoming whole. Now, there's a distinction between big goals and small disciplines. The big goals give you vision, the mountain you aim to climb. The small disciplines give you traction, the steps that take you upward. One without the other is incomplete. A vision without discipline is fantasy. Discipline without vision is drudgery. When you unite both, vision and daily discipline, you create unstoppable momentum. Psychologically, goal setting trains your mind to focus. The human brain thrives on direction. Without it, it gets lost in trivialities, reacting to circumstances instead of creating them. But when you have clearly defined goals, your perception sharpens. You start noticing opportunities that align with your desires. You attract people, resources, and ideas that match your intentions. It's not magic, it's awareness. You become tuned to the frequency of your future. Here's something powerful to remember. Writing your goals by hand amplifies commitment. There's a physical connection between your thoughts and your actions when pen meets paper. Typing is convenient, but writing is transformative. It slows you down, engages emotion, and anchors ideas into your subconscious. Each word written is a promise made to yourself. And yet, setting goals is not enough. You must measure progress. Review your goals regularly. Ask yourself what worked today, what didn't, what must I adjust. Self-assessment keeps your goals alive and evolving. Remember, goals are living things. They grow, they change, they adapt to your growth. Don't be afraid to modify them as your vision expands. The point isn't rigidity, it's responsibility. Jim Rohn would often say, VAF, discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You can have the most inspiring vision, but without daily effort, it remains imagination. The discipline of writing your goals, planning your day, and acting deliberately is what turns dreams into reality. Every small action compounds. Every page written, every workout completed, every dollar saved. These are bricks in the foundation of your success. And something profound happens when you live with daily goals. You begin to respect time differently. You stop treating days as endless and start seeing them as precious. Each day becomes a currency, and how you spend it determines what you build. Goals teach you to live consciously, not carelessly. They give you direction in a world that constantly tries to distract you. Think about this. A single written goal can change the course of your life. It can pull you from average to extraordinary. It can ignite the kind of focus that cuts through doubt and delay. But you must write it, review it, and remind yourself why it matters every day. So take this practice seriously. Each morning, write down your goals. Each evening, reflect on your progress. Keep them visible, keep them personal, keep them alive. Because goals are not just about getting something. They're about becoming someone. And remember, this success is not built in years. It's built in days. Every day you align your actions with your goals. You write another page in the story of your becoming. The discipline of goals is the discipline of destiny. And destiny, after all, is simply daily direction multiplied by time. Gratitude is one of the most underestimated forces in the psychology of success. It's not just an emotion, it's a perspective, a state of awareness that transforms how you see yourself, others, and the world around you. Jim Rohn once said, "Learn to be thankful for what you already have while you pursue all that you want." That single line captures the harmony of ambition and appreciation, the balance that allows you to grow without losing your joy along the way. When most people think of success, they think of achievement, goals met, dreams realized, milestones reached. But what truly sustains success isn't achievement, it's appreciation. Without gratitude, even the best accomplishments feel hollow. You can have a full schedule and an empty heart. You can climb every mountain and still feel lost if you forget to pause and appreciate the view. Gratitude gives success its soul. The power of gratitude lies in its ability to shift perception. The mind can only focus on one dominant emotion at a time. You can't feel angry and grateful simultaneously, nor fearful and thankful in the same breath. Gratitude dissolves negative emotions because it changes the direction of your attention. Instead of fixating on what's missing, you begin to recognize what's present. And that simple shift, from lack to abundance, from complaint to contentment, creates mental and emotional strength. Philosophically, gratitude is a form of awareness. It's the recognition that life, in all its complexity, is still a gift. Every breath, every challenge, every connection holds meaning. When you begin your day with gratitude, you begin it grounded in perspective. You remind yourself that, despite imperfections, you have more to work with than you often realize. Gratitude is not blindness to what's wrong. It's clarity about what's right. It's the ability to see opportunity hidden within difficulty and growth within discomfort. Jim Rohn believed that gratitude was both a discipline and a philosophy. He often taught that you must practice gratitude until it becomes natural. That's why he encouraged journaling, writing down what you're thankful for every day. Not because the act itself is magical, but because it trains your mind to scan for what's good. Over time, this rewires your brain. You start noticing blessings you used to overlook, a kind word, a lesson learned, a small victory, even a setback that taught you something valuable. Gratitude turns moments into meaning. Now, some people say, "I'll be grateful when I achieve success." But that's not how it works. Gratitude isn't the reward for success, it's the foundation of it. A grateful heart is a magnet for opportunity. When you live with appreciation, you become more pleasant to be around, more open to learning, and more resilient in the face of adversity. People sense it. They want to work with you, help you, and be around your energy. Gratitude attracts while complaint repels. There's a powerful psychological truth behind this. Your mind amplifies whatever you focus on. When you focus on scarcity, you experience more scarcity. When you focus on abundance, you begin to see abundance everywhere. Gratitude is not denial, it's direction. It trains your focus toward what empowers you instead of what drains you. The grateful person is not Nod or V, they're wise enough to see that even the smallest progress deserves recognition. Let's talk about the daily practice of gratitude. It's simple, but it's not easy, because it requires consistency. Each morning, take a few moments to write down 3 things you're grateful for. They don't need to be grand. In fact, the smaller, the better. Gratitude deepens when it becomes specific. I'm grateful for the warmth of my coffee, for a message from a friend, for the quiet of early morning. When you do this every day, you build what psychologists call resilient optimism, a habit of seeing light even when life feels dark. And it doesn't stop there. At the end of the day, reflect on what went well. Ask yourself, what moments made me smile? What lessons did I learn today? Who showed me kindness? These small reflections create an emotional memory bank, a record of goodness that balances out the challenges. You begin to realize that no day is wasted if you end it with gratitude. Now, some people confuse gratitude with complacency. They think being thankful means being content with less. But true gratitude fuels ambition. When you appreciate what you have, you develop the confidence to reach for more, not out of greed, but out of growth. Gratitude says, I'm thankful for this, and because I'm thankful, I'll honor it by becoming more. You expand not because you're dissatisfied, but because you respect your potential. There's also a spiritual dimension to gratitude. It acknowledges that life's blessings are not entirely of our making. Yes, you work hard, but there are forces beyond your control. People who helped you, opportunities that appeared, even timing that favored you. Gratitude humbles the ego and elevates the spirit. It reminds you that success is never solitary, it's always shared. And when you see life that way, pride turns into appreciation, and achievement turns into service. Jim Rohn often encouraged people to count your blessings until they outnumber your problems. It wasn't just poetic, it was practical. Because your emotional state determines your energy, and your energy determines your results. A grateful state creates calm confidence, allowing you to think clearly and act wisely. It's the emotional foundation on which all other success habits rest. If you practice gratitude daily, you'll notice a subtle yet profound transformation. You'll complain less and contribute more. You'll compare less and create more. You'll fear less and trust more. Gratitude aligns your inner world so that your outer world begins to follow. It opens the door to joy, clarity, and possibility, qualities that no external success can substitute. So take a few minutes every day to be still and give thanks. For your health, for your lessons, for the people who challenge you and those who lift you higher. For the breath in your lungs and the chance to try again tomorrow. Because gratitude is not just something you feel, it's something you've practiced, and that practice changes everything. And remember this: success without gratitude is emptiness dressed in achievement. But success with gratitude, that's fulfillment. Gratitude turns the ordinary into extraordinary, and it reminds you that you already have enough to begin becoming everything you're meant to be. Reflection is the art of turning experience into wisdom. Without it, even the most eventful life can become a blur of repetition. Jim Rohn once said, "Don't just go through life, grow through life." And that growth, that quiet evolution of understanding, comes through daily reflection. It's the bridge between living and learning, between doing and becoming. You can be busy all day and still end up nowhere if you don't pause long enough to ask, what did I really gain from today? We live in an age of relentless motion, constant notifications, endless noise, ceaseless activity. The modern world glorifies business as though motion were progress. But there's a difference between movement and direction. Reflection restores that direction. It allows you to step back and see the pattern of your days, to catch yourself before small errors become habits, and to recognize small victories before they go unnoticed. Without reflection, experience passes through you like water through a sieve, leaving no wisdom behind. Philosophically, reflection is an act of respect for your own journey. It's how you acknowledge your efforts, your lessons, and your mistakes without judgment. It's not about guilt, it's about growth. Reflection doesn't ask, why did I fail? It asks, what can I learn? It replaces blame with understanding, and that shift transforms confusion into clarity. Every day offers lessons, but only the reflective mind collects them. Jim Rohn often said that each day is a piece of the mosaic that forms your future. If you don't review the pieces, you can't see the picture forming. Reflection is that daily review. It's where wisdom is born. Spend even 10 minutes each evening asking yourself a few powerful questions. What did I accomplish today? What did I learn? What could I have done better? What moments brought me joy or frustration, and why? Those few questions turn ordinary days into extraordinary teachers. There's also a psychological principle at work here. The mind learns best when experience is followed by reflection. Studies in behavioral science confirm that when you pause to analyze what happened and how you responded, your brain strengthens the neural connections related to that insight. In simple terms, reflection makes learning stick. You're not just living, you're integrating. And integration is what turns knowledge into wisdom. Most people avoid reflection because it requires honesty. It's easier to stay busy than to face the truth of your habits or decisions. But honesty with oneself is the foundation of integrity. Reflection doesn't demand perfection. It demands presence. It's not about criticizing yourself, but observing yourself. When you observe with awareness, you gain the power to change. What you refuse to look at, you unconsciously repeat. But what you examine, you can improve. Practically, reflection is best done in solitude. The world is noisy, and clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from silence. Jim Rohn would often spend quiet evenings reviewing his notes, revisiting his journal entries, and asking, what can I carry forward from today that will serve me tomorrow? That's the essence of personal mastery, extracting value from every day before it disappears into memory. Journaling is one of the most effective tools for reflection. Writing forces structure into your thoughts. It slows the mind and turns abstract feelings into clear ideas. When you write, you not only record your life, you refine it. You can look back weeks or months later and see your own evolution, the patterns that held you back, the insights that moved you forward, the emotions that taught you resilience. A written life is an examined life, and an examined life is a meaningful one. Reflection also builds emotional intelligence. It teaches you to notice your triggers, your biases, your responses. You start to understand yourself not as a collection of impulses, but as a conscious being capable of choice. You begin to separate reaction from intention. Over time, this creates emotional maturity, the ability to act wisely instead of impulsively. That's why reflection is not just a mental exercise, it's a moral one. It deepens your self-awareness, and self-awareness is the cornerstone of character. There's another layer to reflection: gratitude. When you review your day, don't just note what went wrong, celebrate what went right. Success compounds when it's acknowledged. Reflection without gratitude can turn into criticism, but reflection with gratitude becomes growth. You learn to appreciate your progress while still striving for better. That's the balance of maturity. To be content yet ambitious, satisfied yet striving. Think of reflection as your personal daily audit. You're not just checking tasks, you're checking alignment. Did my actions today align with my values? Did I move closer to my goals or drift further away? Did I live with integrity, kindness, focus, and purpose? These questions build a life that's not only successful, but intentional. And an intentional life is far more satisfying than one filled with accidental achievements. Jim Rohn often compared reflection to the seasons. Every day contains a little spring for new ideas, a little summer for growth, a little autumn for harvesting results, and a little winter for rest and review. That winter moment, the pause at the end of the day, is where wisdom germinates. It's where you store energy and insight for the next cycle of growth. Without that winter of reflection, you rush from one season to another without ever learning its lessons. Even spiritually, reflection reconnects you to something deeper. It reminds you that you're not just surviving days, you're sculpting a life. It brings humility when you recognize your flaws, gratitude when you see your blessings, and peace when you realize how far you've come. It centers you amid chaos and reminds you that progress is not just about speed, it's about direction. So, take time each evening to be still. Sit with your day before you sleep. Ask, learn, appreciate, and release. Don't carry today's mistakes into tomorrow's morning. Learn from them, then let them go. Reflection turns the weight of experience into the lightness of wisdom. And remember this: a day unreflected is a day half lived. But a day reflected upon becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. Reflection is how you turn ordinary living into extraordinary growth. Because wisdom doesn't come from experience alone. It comes from examined experience. Jim Rohn once said, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." It's one of those statements that sounds simple until you stop and think about what it truly means. Your associations, your circle, your influences, quietly but powerfully shape your standards, your mindset, your habits, and ultimately your destiny. Success is not a solo act, it's a social echo. The company you keep determines the conversations you have, the ideas you entertain, and the level of excellence you tolerate in yourself. People often underestimate just how much their environment molds them. You can have great ambition, but if you're surrounded by small thinking, that ambition will shrink. You can have big dreams, but if everyone around you doubts, criticizes, or dismisses them, you'll start doubting yourself. The truth is, energy is contagious. So is attitude. Spend enough time with complainers, and you'll start complaining. Spend time with thinkers, and you'll start thinking. Spend time with builders, and you'll start building. Jim Rohn taught that we don't rise to our intentions. We rise to our environment. You can't plant the seed of greatness in the soil of negativity and expect it to grow. Your associations are like the climate of your character. They determine what can thrive within you. A cold climate of cynicism freezes growth. A warm climate of encouragement and excellence helps it flourish. The people closest to you are either watering your dreams or draining them. This doesn't mean you judge or reject everyone who isn't successful by conventional standards. It means you become conscious of influence. You understand that every conversation carries a seed. Some seeds grow weeds, others grow wisdom. You can still love people, still care for them, but you choose carefully whose voices you allow to shape your thinking. Because thinking more than talent or luck is what creates success. Let's go deeper into the psychology of association. Human beings are wired for mimicry. Neuroscientists call it social conditioning. We subconsciously adopt the beliefs, behaviors, and expectations of the people we spend the most time with. If you're around people who are disciplined, your standards rise to match theirs. If you're around those who procrastinate and justify mediocrity, you'll start lowering yours without even noticing. That's why awareness of your circle is essential. It's not about elitism, it's about alignment. Jim Rohn often divided relationships into 3 categories. Those you I learn from, those you share with not, and those you as lead. The first group elevates you. They stretch your thinking, challenge your comfort zone, and inspire higher action. These are mentors, coaches, or friends whose presence makes you better. The second group walks with you. These are peers who share your values, your struggles, and your growth. You sharpen each other like iron sharpens iron. The third group are those you guide, people who look to you for wisdom, encouragement, or example. They remind you to live up to your own teachings. To grow consistently, you need all three. Too many people spend their lives only with the third group, always giving, rarely receiving. They eventually burn out. Others stay only with the second group, too comfortable among equals to reach higher. And some isolate themselves entirely, forgetting that success multiplies when shared. The goal is balance, learning, sharing, leading, all in rhythm. Now, one of the hardest but most necessary disciplines in personal development is the courage to upgrade your associations. There comes a time when you must lovingly distance yourself from people who keep you to the version of yourself you're trying to outgrow. It doesn't mean you stop caring for them. It means you stop letting their limitations define your ceiling. Growth requires new input, and new input often comes from new circles. If you want to change your results, change your environment. Attend seminars, join masterminds, listen to podcasts, read biographies of great people. Surround yourself, even virtually, with minds that expand your vision. Jim Rohn said, don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations and the demands to perform are high. Because when you're in the company of excellence, you start demanding excellence from yourself. Let's take this from philosophy to practice. Spend a few minutes reflecting on your current circle. Who inspires you? Who drains you? Who challenges you to be better? Who makes you smaller to make themselves comfortable? Make a list. You'll quickly see patterns. Then, intentionally adjust the time you give each category. Spend more time with those who lift your spirit and less with those who dim it. You don't need to cut everyone off. You simply need to curate your exposure. Protect your energy the way you'd protect your most valuable investment, because it is. Another powerful practice is mentorship. Find someone who has achieved what you aspire to achieve and learn from them. Not just their results, but their mindset, their philosophy, their daily habits. Mentorship accelerates maturity. It compresses decades into days, mistakes into lessons. Jim Rohn himself was mentored by Earl Schoaf, who transformed his life with a few simple but profound ideas. Every great leader is, in some way, a product of great mentorship. But remember, this principle works both ways. As much as you seek great influences, be a great influence. Be the kind of person others want to associate with. Bring positivity, integrity, and encouragement into every room you enter. When you elevate yourself, you elevate your circle. You become a catalyst for growth in others. And that, in turn, strengthens your own success. Philosophically, association is a reflection of belief. You attract not what you want, but what you are. If your energy is built on growth, curiosity, and contribution, you'll naturally attract people with the same vibration. That's why personal development must always precede external change. If you want to meet better people, become a better person. If you want deeper conversations, develop deeper thinking. You can't find in others what you haven't yet cultivated in yourself. So ask yourself daily, who am I becoming through my associations? Am I being pulled forward or held back? Are my friends reflections of my future or reminders of my past? These are not harsh questions. They are necessary ones. Because life is too short to be surrounded by mediocrity when you were born for mastery. And here's the beauty of this truth: when you begin to elevate yourself, your environment begins to shift almost automatically. You'll outgrow some connections, attract new ones, and inspire a few to rise with you. That's the law of progress. Everything and everyone adjusts to the level of your commitment. So, choose your company with care. Listen to voices that lift you, not limit you. Share your time with people who talk about ideas, not gossip, who see potential, not problems, who challenge your comfort, not your worth. Because in the end, your circle is not just a reflection of your environment, it's a mirror of your future. And remember, this success is rarely a solo performance. It's a symphony. Play with people who make your music greater. Jim Rohn often reminded his audiences, take care of your body, it's the only place you have to live. Simple, yet profound. You can have all the ambition in the world, all the strategies, all the intelligence, but without the energy to sustain them, everything collapses. The discipline of health is not just about physical fitness. It's about creating the energy reservoir that fuels achievement. It's about respecting the vessel that carries your dreams. We live in a world that glorifies hustle but forgets balance. People chase success by burning themselves out, drinking more coffee than water, sleeping less, and calling exhaustion dedication. But exhaustion is not a badge of honor. It's a warning sign. True success isn't achieved by those who run the fastest for a short time, but by those who can endure the marathon. Longevity, not just speed, is the real victory. And longevity is built on discipline, especially the discipline of health. Rohn often said that success is a collection of good habits practiced daily. Health is no different. It's not about occasional extremes. It's about consistent decisions. The foods you eat, the sleep you prioritize, the time you take to breathe, stretch, move, all of these are votes you cast for your future vitality. You don't get healthy by accident any more than you get wealthy by accident. It's deliberate, it's planned, it's a matter of values. Your body is the engine of your productivity. When it's well-tuned, your thoughts are clearer, your emotions are steadier, and your actions are sharper. When it's neglected, even the simplest tasks feel heavy. You can't pour creativity from an empty cup. If you're running low on energy, every goal feels 10 times harder than it really is. Energy changes everything. It's the multiplier of potential. But here's what most people miss: health is not just physical, it's mental, emotional, and spiritual. It's the integration of mind, body, and purpose. Physical energy without emotional balance leads to burnout. Emotional passion without physical stamina leads to frustration. Spiritual strength without mental clarity leads to confusion. To perform at your best, you must align all dimensions of health. Let's start with the physical. Rohn believed in simple disciplines: eat wisely, exercise regularly, and rest sufficiently. You don't need a complex plan, just consistent effort. A short walk every day, a few minutes of stretching, conscious breathing, choosing real food over processed comfort, it all adds up. Success in health is not in the grand gesture, but in the small, repeated acts of care. The mind follows the body. When you move your body, you move your mind. Physical movement releases tension, stimulates creativity, and resets focus. That's why so many great thinkers, Aristotle, Darwin, Nietzsche, took long walks. The body in motion creates a mind in flow. So make it a daily ritual: move, breathe, feel alive. Motion generates emotion, and emotion drives momentum. Then there's mental health, the discipline of what you allow into your head. Just as junk food weakens the body, junk thoughts weaken the mind. Feed your mind with positivity, inspiration, and truth. Limit the noise, the negativity, the endless consumption of trivial distractions. You can't build a masterpiece of a life while consuming the leftovers of other people's drama. Protect your mental diet with the same seriousness you'd protect your physical one. Emotional health comes from alignment, living in harmony with your values. When your outer actions match your inner beliefs, you experience peace. When they don't, you feel tension. Daily reflection, gratitude, and meaningful connection help you stay emotionally centered. Don't carry yesterday's frustration into today's opportunity. Every morning is a reset button for the soul if you let it be. And then there's spiritual health, the sense that your life has purpose and meaning beyond survival. Rohn often spoke about the inner life, the invisible disciplines that shape visible success. Taking time to be still, to pray, to meditate, or simply to appreciate the miracle of being alive connects you to something greater. When your spirit is grounded, your decisions carry clarity, your presence radiates peace, and your work becomes service, not struggle. Here's the truth: your habits around health reflect your philosophy of life. Do you treat your body as a partner in your success or as a prisoner of your schedule? Do you see rest as weakness or as preparation? Do you eat for convenience or for performance? Every choice you make about your body is a message to your mind about your priorities. Self-respect begins with self-care. People sometimes say, "I don't have time to exercise, to cook, to rest." But the reality is, you don't have time not to. The energy you invest in health always pays dividends. You gain hours of productivity, clarity, and enthusiasm. You think faster, smile easier, and lead better. The world doesn't need more burned-out achievers. It needs more energized visionaries. Health is also a moral responsibility, because your body doesn't just serve you, it serves others through you. When you're strong, clear, and vibrant, you can give more to your family, your work, your community. You show up as your best self. And that's the real gift of health. It expands your capacity to contribute. Let's talk about discipline, because health without discipline is just a wish. Discipline is doing what's necessary when it's inconvenient. It's saying no to the quick comfort for the sake of long-term vitality. Rohn used to say, "We must all suffer one of two pains, the pain of discipline or the pain of regret." Discipline may feel like sacrifice in the moment, but it's actually liberation. It frees you from illness, fatigue, and dependency. It gives you control over your life. Health is not about perfection, it's about direction. If you improve just one area today, drink more water, walk an extra mile, sleep an hour earlier, you begin to shift your trajectory. Small daily improvements compound into remarkable results. In 6 months, you'll have a different body, a sharper mind, and a stronger spirit. And once you taste that vitality, you'll never trade it for comfort again. So, as you pursue your ambitions, remember your health is the foundation of your wealth. Without it, success becomes hollow, joy becomes fleeting, and time becomes short. But with it, everything you do expands. Your energy becomes your message. Your presence becomes your power. Success is built by those who protect their energy as fiercely as they protect their dreams. So treat your body like the temple of achievement that it is. Move with purpose, eat with awareness, rest with gratitude. Because when you master your health, you master your life. And remember Jim Rohn's timeless wisdom. Take care of your body. It's the only place you have to live. There comes a point in every person's pursuit of success when achievement alone stops feeling enough. You climb the mountain, you reach the top, and then you realize the view is beautiful, but it's only meaningful when you can share it. That's where the spirit of contribution begins. Jim Rohn said it best. Only by giving are you able to receive more than you already have. Success without contribution is a lonely victory. It satisfies the ego, but not the soul. The true measure of greatness is not how much you accumulate, but how much you add to people, to society, to the world. You see, contribution transforms success from personal triumph into lasting impact. It turns what you get into something much deeper, what you have give. The person who contributes is no longer chasing happiness, they're creating it. Giving shifts the center of gravity in your life from self to significance. When your daily actions are guided by the intention to serve, life takes on a richness that achievement alone can never offer. The most powerful people in history, from philosophers to entrepreneurs, understood this law. They didn't just build wealth. They built legacy. They didn't just seek comfort. They sought contribution. Why? Because contribution completes the cycle of growth. When you've learned, achieved, and developed yourself, the natural next step is to share what you've gained. Like a tree that grows tall, not just to stand above others, but to give shade and fruit, a truly successful person becomes a source of nourishment for others. Rohn used to say, service to others leads to greatness. And that service doesn't always mean grand gestures or public acts. It can be small, quiet, consistent acts of kindness, the conversation that uplifts a friend, the advice that steers someone toward better choices, the encouragement that reignites another's belief in themselves. Contribution is not measured in size, but in sincerity. When you give from the heart, even the smallest act carries infinite value. There's also a psychological power in contribution. Giving rewires the mind from scarcity to abundance. When you contribute, you affirm that there's enough to go around. That success isn't a limited resource. You stop competing with others and start collaborating with life. You begin to see others' victories not as threats, but as affirmations of possibility. That mental shift is liberating. It takes you out of survival mode and into creation mode. And creation is where true fulfillment lies. But contribution isn't just about money or material resources. Some of the most meaningful gifts cost nothing but time and attention. Sharing your experience, mentoring others, lending a listening ear, or simply showing compassion can have a ripple effect far greater than any financial donation. The currency of contribution is not always dollars. It's presence, empathy, and example. And here's the philosophical beauty of it. When you give, you grow. Contribution deepens your sense of purpose. It gives context to your struggles, turning your pain into perspective, your lessons into leadership. The challenges you've overcome become stories that inspire others. Your journey becomes a map for those still finding their way. You stop asking, what can I get from life? And start asking, what can I give to life? And that single shift changes everything. Many people chase success for validation, to prove something to themselves or others. But contribution moves you beyond that. It's not about proving anymore. It's about improving the world, even in a small way. Success fills your bank, contribution fills your heart. And when both align, you experience a kind of balance that no title, trophy, or transaction can replace. Now, in practical terms, how do you cultivate the spirit of contribution daily? You start by turning ordinary moments into opportunities for service. Smile more. Listen deeper. Help someone without expecting anything in return. Be generous with praise and patience. Make your workplace, your home, your community just a little brighter because you were there. You don't need a platform or an audience to make an impact. Only the intention to make a difference. Jim Rohn often taught that life responds to contribution. When you give, you set in motion a powerful law of reciprocity. Opportunities, relationships, and blessings begin to flow towards you in ways you never planned. Not because you demanded them, but because you aligned yourself with the rhythm of life. The universe rewards the giver, not because of superstition, but because giving expands your capacity to receive. The more you pour out, the more space you create for growth. Contribution also keeps success from becoming self-centered. It grounds you. It reminds you that your time, talent, and treasure are not just privileges. They are responsibilities. When you see yourself as a steward rather than an owner, you live with humility and purpose. You stop chasing applause and start creating value. You stop striving for recognition and start striving for relevance. And here's something profound: contribution outlives achievement. Your car, your house, your trophies, all of that fades. But the lives you touch, the hearts you lift, the ideas you pass on, those become immortal. They echo long after you're gone. That's legacy. Legacy is success made eternal. There's also an inner peace that comes with living beyond yourself. When you're focused only on your own goals, anxiety becomes your constant companion. There's always more to do, more to gain, more to prove. But when you focus on contribution, the pressure lifts. You start to find joy in the process, not just the result, because giving transforms ordinary work into meaningful work. It infuses your actions with purpose, your days with fulfillment, your life with joy. And the beautiful irony is, the more you give, the more you grow. The more you serve, the stronger you become. Contribution is not a loss, it's multiplication. You give your time and gain wisdom. You give your energy and gain influence. You give your heart and gain peace. Life always returns the favor, often in ways you could never have engineered. So as you journey through your daily dozen of success, remember that contribution is the final and most powerful discipline. It's what gives meaning to all the others. Your health, your learning, your discipline, your reflection. Because what good is strength if not to lift others? What good is wisdom if not to guide? What good is abundance if not to share? Each day ask yourself, who did I help? Whose life did I brighten, even in a small way? Let that question become the compass of your success. Because when you live to contribute, you will never run out of purpose, energy, or joy. And so, as Jim Rohn might conclude, the greatest reward of becoming a successful person is the opportunity to help others become one too. In the end, contribution is not the final step of success. It's the soul of it.